Let's continue in this aqidah of Imam al-Ghazali, rahimahullah. And we are starting from where the author said, وَأَنَّهُ تَعَالَى سَمِيعٌ بَصِيرٌ, and that he, exalted is he, is a hearer, a seer. There's no conjunction there. So could say hearer and seer. But it does have the meaning of conjunction. Unless has the meaning of adjective. Has the meaning of name, then it has the meaning of conjunction. If it has the meaning of adjective, it doesn't need the meaning of conjunction. Yasma'u wa yara. He hears and he sees. So here, Al-Ghazali, he mentioned the adjectives, Samir, Basir, they are technically adjectives because they come from a source noun. Sama' and Basar, hearing and sight. So the one described with Sama' would be called Samir. The one described with Basar would be called Basir. But it's valid to say Allah is As-Samir. That's one of his names. Not merely an adjective, but a name of his. And Al-Basir, those are amongst his 99 names. Name is moniker. This is his name. As-Samir, Al-Basir, and these are adjectives. Samir, Basir, and then he mentioned the verbs. Yasma'u wa yara. He hears and he sees. He is a hearer, a seer. Hearing and seeing. Yes. There's a conjunction here, though. He is a hearer, a seer, hearing and seeing. And also, what's here is that he is described as Al-Basir from the letters Ba, Sad, Ra. Basar. But Al-Ghazali brought the letters of another verb. Ra Hamza Ya. Ra Hamza Ya. That's the root letters of Yara, which means he sees. Ra'a, he saw. Yara, he sees. And you say Absar, Absara, he saw. Yubsir, he sees. ولا يعزب عن سمعه مسموع وإن خفي. Nothing heard escapes his hearing, even if it is faint. But if it is faint means what? In concerning ourselves, that's irrelevant for Allah. If it's faint or if it's loud or if something's close or far, those don't pertain to Allah. ولا يغيب عن رؤيته مرئي وإن دق. And nothing, no seen thing is absent from his sight, even if it is fine. So fine means very thin. ولا يحجب سمعه بعد. And farness does not block his hearing. I would say distance, but he didn't say masafa. He said bu'd means farness. ولا يدفع رؤيته ظلام. Nor does darkness repel his sight or block his sight or push away his sight. الدفع, دفع is pushing. يدفع ولا يدفع رؤيته ظلام. No darkness blocks his sight. Here, the previous sentence. ولا يحجب سمعه بعد. No farness veils his hearing. It does mean block, though. I think I said block the first time. Because hajib is mana', prevention. No farness prevents his hearing. ولا يدفع رؤيته ظلام. No darkness blocks his sight. يرى من غير حدقة وأجفان. Seeing without a pupil nor eyelids. ويسمع من غير أصمخة وآذان. And hearing without ear canals and ears, yani, or ears. كما يعلم بغير قلب. Just as he knows without a heart. ويبطش بغير جارحة. And he snatches without a limb. ويخلق بغير آلة. And he creates without a tool. إذ لا تشبه صفاته صفات الخلق. Since his attributes do not resemble the attributes of the creation. كما لا تشبه ذاته ذوات الخلق. Just as his self does not resemble the selves of the creations. Should be a kasra here. إذ لا تشبه صفاته صفات الخلق. Since his attributes do not resemble the attributes of the creation. كما لا تشبه ذاته ذوات الخلق. Just as his self does not resemble the selves of the creations. Yes. So, Alhamdulillah. So, you see here in this paragraph, Al-Ghazali mentioned hearing and sight together. And they are mentioned in the Quran together frequently. وَهُوَ السَّمِيعُ الْبَصِيرُ. أَسْمَعُ وَأَرَى. And other places in the Quran, other spots. And let me see something here. So next thing he wants to talk about is the kalam. Before that, though. So what is the intellectual evidence for hearing and sight? You know the documentary evidence, such as وَهُوَ السَّمِيعُ الْبَصِيرُ, Surah Shura, Ayah 11. And the hadith of the 99 names, As-Sami'u al-Basir. What is the rational proof for these attributes? The rational proof for these attributes is that had he not been attributed with them, with hearing and sight, then he would be attributed with their opposites, which are deafness and blindness. And deafness and blindness are imperfections. And imperfection is impossible to be the attribute of the Creator. Therefore, his attributes of hearing and sight are confirmed. So, what I just said means that hearing and sight have the same intellectual argument. And also, kalam has the same intellectual argument. What is the intellectual evidence besides evidence from the Quran or the Sunnah that Allah has attributed with speech, which we're about to speak about, insha'Allah? It is that had he not been attributed with speech, then he would be mute and dumb. That means not speaking. And that is, yani abkam, and that is an imperfection. And imperfection is impossible to be the attribute of the Creator. And therefore, the attribute of speech, eternal, uncreated uh, speech, is confirmed for him. Okay. Then you might say, is that not the argument for all the attributes? Not necessarily. Because when we talk about the attributes of power and will and life and knowledge, can make another argument, which is you can say, had he not been attributed with life and knowledge and power and will, then nothing would exist. But the world does exist. Therefore, the Creator is attributed with life and knowledge and power and will. Hmm. So, what are those attributes now? All that we just mentioned: life, knowledge, power, will, hearing, sight, speech. Those are all the ma'ani attributes right there. Perhaps you realize that. So those seven ma'ani attributes, that seven by consensus, the consensus of Ahlul Sunnah that ma'ani attributes are seven, and strong sayings that there's eight. Those seven ma'ani attributes there, out of the seven of them, there are two arguments for either of them. Either you will argue that these attributes are confirmed for Allah because of the necessity of confirming perfection for Him, or you're going to argue these attributes are confirmed for Allah as proven by His doings, as proven by the fact that He created something. We learned that before. Question: why is imperfection impossible to be attributed to the Creator? Because imperfection is unbefitting. Because imperfection is unbefitting. Uh, and so, you as a creature, do you like for yourself as a creature an unbefitting attribute? You don't. So then it's not sound in the mind that the Creator would have an unbefitting attribute. I hope the answer is clear for you. Perfection is one of the attributes of God. Imperfection is the negation of Godhood. Yani, perfection for God is being God. His attribute of Godhood is his attribute of perfection. Yani, kamaluhu uluhiyatuhu. His perfection is his Godhood. So if he didn't have perfection, he wouldn't be God. So what if someone argues that it is possible for the creator to also have imperfections? I would say to him, that's not true. That's what I would say. You can follow up from there if you want. And what's he going to say? Well, yeah, it is true. So why? How would it be true? It's not true. Does he have evidence? There's no evidence for it. As for the evidence that he should be perfect, it's because perfection is his godhood. We're talking about God here. Perfection is the godhood. The godhood is the perfection. The godhood is the perfection. So if he's not perfect, means he's not God. Is it clear for you? You can follow up if you want to. Amin wa fikum. Nah. So then Al-Ghazali said, Rahimahullah, وأنه تعالى متكلم آمر ناه واعد متوعد بكلام أزلي قديم قائم بذاته. And that he, exalted is he, is a speaker, Amirun, a commander, Nahin, a forbidder, Wa'id, a promiser, Mutawa'id, a threatener, Bikalamin azaliyin, Qadimin, Qa'imin, Bidhati, by eternal, beginningless speech that exists by his being, existent by his being, by eternal, beginningless speech existent by his being. So all of those are adjectives, not verbs. لا يشبه كلام الخلق. I think this is clear for you. So he's a speaker. Mutakallim, speaker, means someone attributed with speech. Amir, commander. So it means someone attributed with commanding, ordering. Nahin, someone attributed with forbidding. Wa'id, someone attributed with promising, such as his promise to admit the believers into the garden. Those who die as believers, to admit them into the garden. Guaranteed. Even if he gets punished first. Mutawa'id, threatener. Like his threat to punish the disobedient. Bikalam, by speech. All of these meanings by speech, by one speech. Bikalam, by a speech. And he answers the supplications. His answering also is by speech. His name, Al-Mujib, the answerer. That's one of the names that prove that he is attributed with speech. He's answerer. Also, he's an asker, a questioner, that is. Also, questioner. Bi kalamin azali. By an eternal speech. Qadim, beginningless. Qa'imin bidhati, existent by his being. Confirmed for his self. He is eternal, so his speech is eternal. لا يشبه كلام الخلق. Not resembling the speech of the creation. فليس بصوت يحدث من انسلال هواء. Therefore, it is not a sound that happens from the passage of air. Awisplikaki ajiram. Nor is it a sound that happens by the collision of bodies. ولا بحرف ينقطع بإطباق شفه. Nor is it a letter that cuts by closing the lip. أو تحريك لسان, or by moving the tongue. وأن القرآن والتوراة والإنجيل والزبور كتبه المنزلة. And that the Quran and the Torah and the Injil and the Zabur are his books revealed. Quran in Arabic language, Torah in Hebrew language, Injil in Assyrian language or Syriac, and Zabur in Hebrew language like Torah. Torah revealed to Moses, Injil revealed to Jesus, Zabur revealed to David, Quran, of course, as you know, revealed to Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And it was said that the Torah is the first book of law, not first revealed book, but first book of law. And Zabur is not a book of law. Quran is a book of law, and Torah is a book of law, and Injil is a book of law. Meaning with laws, having laws. Laws means rules. These four are the most famous. كتبه المنزلة على رسله عليهم السلام. His books that he revealed to his messengers, may peace be upon them. So those are books. How was Quran revealed to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? In pieces verbally, not on parchment. Still a book. He was taught the book verbally and he memorized it. And he had scribes, the Prophet alayhi salatu wasallam. And the entire Quran was written during his lifetime. The entire Quran was written during his lifetime. That's in Al-Itqan fi Ulum al-Quran. Just not all at once, in one place though. Not one document in one place. Wa alaykum as-salam. Al-Itqan fi Ulum al-Quran. That's a book all about the Quran by Imam As-Suyuti. Amin wa fikum. He said the Quran was compiled 3 times. One time during the Messenger of Allah's life, but not in one document together between 2 covers. The Torah, how it was revealed on tablets, very large tablets. Some said emerald or something like emerald, and some said wood from paradise. The Injil, I haven't learned any details. How was it? Nor the Zabur, but Dawood alayhi salam, he was able to recite the entire Zabur swiftly. He could order for his horse to be saddled, and then he would finish the whole Zabur before his finished saddling. وَأَنَّ الْقُرْآنَ مَقْرُوءٌ بِالْأَلْسِنَةِ. And that the Quran is recited by the tongues. Meaning, the Quran, there's something I missed here. So, Al-Ghazali started talking about the attribute of speech. After he confirmed that Allah is a speaker and negated his speech being like the speech of the creations, he mentioned the books of Revelation. Actually, all these 4 names here are not only names for the books of Revelation. These four names, all of them also refer to his eternal attribute of speech. His eternal attribute of speech is called Al-Quran. I'm not talking about the Arabic. And it's also called At-Tawrah. And it's called Al-Injil. And it's called Az-Zabur. I'm not talking about a created document. The first meaning of Quran, and also these names are even interchangeable. And they have other names. Like the Zabur was called the Quran in a hadith. That Dawood used to recite the Quran. What he used to recite as Zabur. That's valid. And the Quran, don't you know the Quran is the Furqan? You know, the Quran is the Furqan. Also, the Torah is the Furqan. That's in the Quran. Both of them are called Al Furqan in the Quran. So the first meaning is the attribute itself, the eternal attribute. The second meaning is the document or the revealed words. Both of those meanings are religious definitions. I'm not talking about language, I'm talking about religion. Both of those meanings for these words are religious meanings. So, religiously, the word Al Quran refers to God's attribute of speech and it also refers to the revealed book. And the same thing for these other ones. At-Tawrah refers to God's attribute of speech, and same name, same word can refer to the revealed book. The first meaning, yani, the one that refers back to the other is the first meaning, the one that the other is referred back to, that is the attribute of God, the eternal attribute of speech. So that's why those revealed Arabic words refer back to what God says, means tells us what God says. So it's called Al-Quran because the speech of God is called Al-Quran. And the speech of God is called At-Tawrah. And those Hebrew words that were revealed originally to Moses, they have the same judgment like the Arabic of the Quran in terms of being revelation.
Say,
Yes.
uh, Torah was the Hebrew was a translation.
No, the Torah is originally Hebrew, but just to make you or make clear for you, don't forget that's old Hebrew. That's not like something some people might be speaking today. Same thing for Zabur, that's Hebrew. The Injil was Assyrian. So what do some people have today? A Bible in English, where it came from. They say they have the Torah, that's the first five books. They say they have the Zabur, that's the Psalms with a silent P. And the rest of it is Injil, like, I don't know what they think that's supposed to be, because they have Old Testament, New Testament, all those books in there. So that's what they think they have, and they disregard the Quran, the Christians, that is, here. So this one in English, where it's from, it's from, goes back to Latin and Greek and Hebrew. So for sure, if it's coming from Latin or Greek, that's a translation.
Thank you.
You're welcome. If it's coming from Hebrew, doesn't mean that that's authentic still. Bismillah. So Al-Ghazali said, وأن القرآن والتوراة والإنجيل والزبور كتبه المنزلة على رسله عليهم السلام, and that the Quran and the Torah and the Injil and the Zabur are his books revealed, yani munazzala, brought down upon his messengers. Also, the Quran is a miracle. I never learned that you say about the other books that they are miracles. The Quran itself is a challenge. It's miraculous. And also, the Quran was revealed in pieces. The other books were revealed all at once. Maybe a Christian notices how the Muslims know more about the revealed books and the prophets than they do. So then Al-Ghazali went to say, وَأَنَّ الْقُرْآنَ مَقْرُوءٌ بِالْأَلْسِنَةِ, and that the Quran is recited by the tongues. So why is he saying that? That's the question I want to answer. Why is he saying that? So it made me go back and repeat some facts here to uh, make sure the premises are strong before we explain these words. And that the Quran is recited by the tongues. So what's the Quran? The first meaning of Quran, the attribute of God. The attribute of God itself cannot be recited by the tongues. So then what's recited by the tongues? It's what refers to the attribute of God that is recited by the tongues. That, no, I didn't say it really the way I want to say it. I'm going to say it this way. The Quran is recited by the tongues. That's what his statement is saying here. What's first meaning of Quran? Is the attribute of God. What's secondary meaning? Is the revealed words. Why the revealed words have the same name? Because they refer to the attribute of speech. And it's normal to name something after what it refers to. Like you'd say about a model. This is a Lamborghini. It's not a real one, it's just a model that you can hold in your hand. It's not invalid for you to say this is a Lamborghini, because what that really means is this refers to a real one. This refers to. So that Arabic Quran, those revealed words that are created, refer to something that's not created. And therefore has the same name. Al-Quran. So Al-Quran is maqru, it's recited. Now, it's recited. What does that mean? The Arabic language is able to zero in on some things a lot finer than English can. Maqru, this means, so recited. Recited here means what it refers to. What it refers to. Meaning, recited here does not mean the recitation. Recited right here does not mean the recitation itself, the very recitation itself. No. The very recitation itself is called qira'ah. Qira'ah. So Al-Ghazali is not saying the Quran is qira'ah by the lisan. The Quran is not qira'ah by the lisan. That's not what Al-Ghazali is saying. Qira'ah means the recitation, the recital. So Al-Ghazali is not talking about the recital here. The recital. How? Isn't that what comes off the tongues? Isn't it the recital that comes off the tongues? Yeah. So he's mentioning the tongues there. So how he's not talking about the recital? Because he didn't say that. He said makruh. So the makruh is what the recital itself refers to. The makruh is what the recital refers to. What does the recital refer to? Recital refers to what's recited. What's being recited is the speech of God. We had this lesson before. I'm trying to complement this explanation with the way Al-Ghazali presented his words here. I'm still not confident that I have explained this satisfactorily. The Quran is the speech of God. Yes. And the speech of God is not created. Yes. Therefore, if it's not created, it would not be a recital that comes off of someone's tongue. Yes. However, when someone with a tongue has a recital, he's referring to something. Ah, I see. So when someone with a tongue has a recital, he by this recital is referring to something. What are we calling that? What his recital refers to? We're going to call that recited. It's recited. That's what's recited. Not the recital itself. And what's recited is God's speech. What that means is what refers to God's speech refers to God's speech. Not God's speech itself refers to God's speech. A created recital that refers to God's speech. Let me know if you have a question there, please. He said, Maktubun fil masahif, and it's written in the mushafs, meaning there's kitaba in the Quran books. Kitaba that's in the Quran books, his attribute is not a kitaba. Kitaba is writing, writing, not what's written. Kitaba here doesn't mean what's written. Kitaba here means the writing. The Quran is, he didn't say the Quran is a kitaba. He said the Quran is maktub. It's what's written by the writing. That means what the writing refers to. That writing refers to God's speech, the uncreated speech that's not Arabic. That writing is in the Mus'haf. Mahfuzun fil qulub. Memorized in the hearts. The Quran is memorized in the hearts. Means not the Quran is memory. He didn't say Al Quran is hifz, is memory or memorization. La, he said the Quran is mahfuz. It's what the memory refers to. It's what one's memory refers to, what the memorization refers to. That memorization refers to the uncreated speech of God. The uncreated speech of God is the mahfuz. Mahfuzun fil qulub, memorized in the hearts. Yani, there's a memory in the hearts that refers to that. So, anyone confused? Any question, please? He said, would it be more clear to say that the Quran is the recited instead of merely saying it is recited? Well, I don't know if that's more clear, but if I want to try to draw attention to very closely what Al-Ghazali said, he mentioned these indefinite. And I think a good way to present the indefiniteness that he has mentioned here is by not producing definite article the, but also not using indefinite article a, just saying the word only. It is written, it is memorized. That's what he's saying, inshallah. You said only reason I say that is because recited seems like a verb. Yeah, that's true. That's some of the English though, because it is an adjective too. It's recited here. Thank you. Actually, recited here is not a verb. Or written. Written is not a verb here. That's adjective. وأن القرآن مقروء بالألسنة. That the Quran is مقروء. It's recited. That's an adjective. That means it's a noun, a kind of noun, not a verb. Something recited. It is a recited thing. Maktubun, something written, not the writing, not the recitation, not the writing. Mahfuzun, something memorized, not the memory. In all those cases refers to the original meaning. You might have ed like that, memorized, written, and it's verb or it's adjective. Same thing with ing. ing could be a verb or adjective, like knowing. وأنه مع ذلك قديم قائم بذات الله تعالى. And despite, and with that, yeah, with that, if that being the case, it is eternal. وأنه مع ذلك قديم, it is eternal. Although it is مقروء, recited, and maktub, written, and mahfuz, memorized. هو مع ذلك قديم, it's eternal. Because it's not the recitation, it's not the writing, it's not the memory. That's created. قائم بذات الله تعالى, existing by God's being, existing this speech by God's being, exalted is He. Uh, so he says, we confirm these descriptions. We do describe the speech of God with these words. And we name the speech of God with these names. We do that, and it's still eternal, uncreated, existing by His being, confirmed for His self, exalted is He. This attribute does not accept, yani, our confirming these names and these descriptions for this attribute does not mean that this attribute accepts separation and departure and then relocating into hearts and pages or going upon tongues. So that's what he's saying. وأن موسى صلى الله عليه وسلم سمع كلام الله بغير صوت. And Moses, may peace and blessings be upon him, heard the speech of God without a sound, ولا حرف, nor a letter. This is the position of the Ash'aris. And the Maturidis, they don't say this. But our Shaykh said, Imam al-Maturidi did not say that the speech of Allah is not hearable. So, we say, like Al-Ghazali said here, Moses heard the speech of God without a sound and without a letter. So the Maturidis, they say something else here. That is, they don't say Moses heard the eternal speech. They say he heard something. But regardless of that, our Shaykh says Imam al-Maturidi himself does not say the speech of Allah is not hearable. So if someone were to say, how does it make sense that Moses would hear a speech that's not a sound nor a letter? Would what is not a sound be heard? So he told this supposed asker, كما يرى الأبرار ذات الله تعالى, just as the good doers, those who die as Muslims, will see God's self, exalted is He, fil akhirah, in the afterlife. You ask, how could the speech be heard without a sound and without a letter? Just as the self can be seen, min ghayri jawharin wala arab, without a particle and without a property. We agreed that God's self can be seen without a particle and without a property. So we don't think that it's impossible that his speech could be heard without a sound and without a letter. In fact, we confirmed that his speech shall be heard without a sound and without a letter. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. Allah knows best. Any question? You said, how do we respond to those who say that God being seen is metaphorical? Well, I would say that's not true. What do you suppose he would say to that? You say he would say, if you say God will be seen as literal, it is necessary that he be a body. Okay, okay. I would say to him, no. And I would say to him, what you're really saying to me is you don't think you could see something that you never saw before. Did you understand the answer? Yeah. He's speaking from his personal experience. But there's something more troubling. Yeah, so his understanding is limited. He's speaking from ignorance, not merely his personal experience, but from ignorance. Has gap in his comprehension. So, what do you think he'd say if I said to him, "You say he's negating something because he hasn't experienced it"? That's true. That's what he's doing. So that's the answer, really. So, if you want, you can tell me what you think he'd say, or if that suffices you, then that's fine. I mean, wa iyyakum. Barakallahu fikum jami'a.
Someone can say,
Wa alaykum assalam wa rahmatullah.
say that person come back and say, okay, he haven't experienced what the brother said. He haven't experienced it. Then he come back to you. Have you experienced it before? What would you say then?
I would say, no, I did not. I never saw God.
Saying it because sometimes people come back and say something with whatever you said to them, they make it bounce back to you, and they make it seem like they said something real powerful.
Yeah, so if somebody said that to me, did you ever see him after this? So let's recall here the course of the conversation. Someone says seeing God is metaphorical. So I'd say, no, it's not. So he would say, but if you say it's literal, then it would mean that God is a body. So I would say to him, all you're saying to me is that you don't think that you could see something that you never saw before. That's the meaning of your objection. That's the meaning of what you just told me. You don't think that you could see something that you never saw before. So here he has two ways to go. Either he's going to confirm it or he's going to deny it. Or he's going to change the subject. I'm not going to let him change the subject. So either he's going to confirm it or he's going to deny it. So he would say, if he said, yeah. So I can't see something I never saw before. I'm going to tell him, well, listen to how stupid you sound. Or if he says, no, I'm not saying that I can't see something that I never saw before, then I would say to him, then don't say that God can't be seen unless he was a body. So if he were to say to me, well, have you ever seen him? To me, this means he's a dummy. That's my personal take. Now I'm going to consider how much effort I'm going to put in talking to this person. Because that's irrelevant. MashaAllah. So, I don't know. I guess if he seems like innocent one, I'd say, no, I never saw God before. So what, your question doesn't prove anything. What point can he prove by asking the question? Have you ever seen him? No, I never saw God. But also, I'm not denying that I could see something that I never saw before. You're the one who's denying that you could see something you never saw before, not me. You said, is blood transfusion haram? And not absolutely, but I don't know the rules. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك